Hello, my phenomenal things. Happy Friday evening. I hope you all are ready for some terrifying facts about Annabelle, because this was pretty messed up. I'm gonna tell you that. As many of you know, I have a fear of clowns, and because of that, dolls go along with it, which is kind of weird, but I looked it up because I do have a fear of both, and I've always wondered why, and apparently that it's because they look lifelike, but they're not, so it's disturbing. Clowns, well, not all clowns are creepy. Some are more disturbing than others, but I don't really have that horrifying reaction to clowns anymore. I used to. I had it really bad when I was a kid, to the point where my aunt took me and my sister to the circus, and a clown came up to me to give me a balloon, and I freaked out. I wouldn't stop screaming until we left. Yeah, so it's deep rooted there. We're not talking about clowns, though. We're talking about dolls. So, the Annabelle movies are far more creepy to me than the Child's Play films. Chucky isn't scary to me. I think he's hilarious. Although, for Annabelle movies, the most terrifying to me is Creations. Especially the bunk bed scene. Yeah, that freaks me out. As some of you probably know, the real Annabelle doll was not a creepy porcelain-looking doll. The real Annabelle doll is a classic Raggedy Ann doll, which is right behind me, with red yarn for hair, something I believe I had when I was a kid. I know my sister did. And I grew up more in the 90s because I was born in 88, so I didn't really experience the 80s. Although the Raggedy Ann dolls came from the 70s, which I thought was interesting. At the Warrens Museum, the doll is kept behind a glass case with a warning to all patrons not to touch the case, which is exactly right behind me. The case, as you can see. Which, apparently one museum attendee ignored the warnings and proceeded to taunt the doll. Shortly after leaving the museum, after he was requested to leave, the individual died in a motorcycle accident. Was it just a coincidence, or was it the work of Annabelle? Before we continue, click that subscribe button to join the fangs of the channel. It's greatly appreciated. It really is. Because it helps my channel and it helps me out. Now, the real-life Annabelle story started in 1970, when a 20-year-old nurse named Donna received the Raggedy Ann doll from her mother as a birthday present, which is something that you saw in the movie. She put the doll on her bed and noticed the doll would change positions. A leg would be crossed, or the doll would be lying on its side. Now, Donna tried to replicate these movements, but wasn't able to. Soon the nurse and her roommate Angie started finding parchment paper on the floor with written messages saying things like "help me" or "help us." What was strange about this, there wasn't any parchment paper in the house. So how the hell were they finding notes with these messages scrawled on them? On the paper they didn't have. Thought that was kind of weird. Soon the doll began appearing in different rooms, and at one point seemed to be leaking blood. At first, the girls thought that it was an intruder that was moving the doll and leaving notes, trying to mess with them or scare them. However, they soon ruled that out and contacted a medium who conducted a seance. During the seance, the girls were introduced to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, which was said to be a young girl that resided on the property before the apartments were built. And she died there at the age of 7, apparently. Unknown reason. The spirit told the medium that they felt comfortable with the two roommates and wanted to stay with them forever and be loved. Thus, the roommates gave Annabelle permission to inhabit the doll, but things didn't get better, they only got worse. Which is similar to what you saw in the movie. Angie's fiancé Lou was taking a nap and woke up to the doll staring at him. According to him, the doll crawled up him until it was on his chest, where it proceeded to strangle him until he passed out. And another creepy occurrence that happened surrounding Lou which I think is because the doll just didn't like him. Uh, Angie and Lou were spending time together when they started hearing movements in Donna's room, but she wasn't home. She was working. They thought it was an intruder at first when they realized it was Annabelle because Annabelle was still in Donna's room. That's where Donna kept her. Lou took a look inside the room, but no one was there. However, the doll was sitting on a chair instead of on the bed where Donna left it. A feeling that something was very wrong came over Lou, and he felt a terrible pain in his chest. Lou soon found that he was bleeding, and there were a series of claw marks as if someone had leapt at him and scratched him, but no one was in the room. What was even more odd about this occurrence is that the marks quickly healed within just 2 days. There was no trace of them at all, which was very weird. The Warrens took interest in the case and contacted them, and immediately the Warrens came to the conclusion that the doll was not possessed, but was being manipulated by an inhuman presence. The spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, but wanted a human host to possess, like you saw in the movie. The Warrens did take the doll, and Ed felt they should avoid the highway because it was going to be a rough ride home. And he was actually right, according to his perspective. According to Ed, at one point he had to sprinkle the Annabelle doll with holy water to calm it down to return the journey home. The movie depicts a young couple coming into possession of the doll when the wife receives the doll for her doll collection, I believe from her husband. As she nears her pregnancy date, satanic cultists break in, kill the couple, and die in the house. One of the cultists, named Annabelle Higgins, bleeds onto the doll, which is when terrifying things start to happen, according to the movie. Even though the Warrens assisted with the films, they were fine with it being fabricated because it still served the purpose of warning people about demons. So they didn't care. Which I actually have a problem with, but I don't know. I don't like people fabricating anything just for the sake of pushing their agenda. Now, if you want to make it more terrifying, fine. Fine and dandy, because those movies were kind of creepy. I know some people didn't like the Annabelle movies, and that's fine. You know, everybody has their own perspective and opinion of everything. I do believe that some were scarier than others. I didn't really like the first Annabelle movie. Didn't really do it for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, the scene where the cultist runs into the room and then disappears freaked me the hell out. That scared me so bad. Or the part when she said, "I like your doll." That freaked me out. So yeah, there's some creepy moments, but overall it wasn't like the most terrifying horror movie out there. The Creation movie was much more terrifying to me. There were a lot more creepy aspects. But what do you think? Do you believe Annabelle is really a conduit for evil, or is it all just a coincidence? Perhaps there is more to the story that we're not getting. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll also leave some additional information about the Annabelle doll for those who want to know more terrifying details about this and the occurrences that happened around the doll. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click the like button to show your support for the channel and me. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you all have a pleasant evening and sleep well. Take care until next time. Bye, everyone.